Hey, it's your girl Nicole. Welcome back to the Risers Hub podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, my daughter, friend, and road dog, Nia Akins.
Road dog.
You've been my road dog lately, going up and down the coast.
Yeah, that's true. Because we're so close now.
Yeah, we're really close now. She is going to join me. I only have 2 podcasts left for the year, and this is the second to last podcast, and then we're going to start back up probably in February, because I think January is going to be an interesting month for everyone. So today we're going to be talking about thankfulness, the holidays, and moving into the new year with goals, because I believe that someone my age, my goals are different than someone your age. And then someone who is ordinary like me may have different goals than someone who is spectacular like you. I don't know. We'll talk about.
We're all spectacular in our own right, Mom. We're all doing spectacular things.
Oh, gosh. Let's talk about 2024. And what are you thankful for as far as this year? And what do you expect to do moving into the new year?
Yeah, so this year, I think the biggest blessing this year was making the Olympic team. So I'm very grateful for that. Mom, you were there. You lived it. She was in the stands going crazy. People got it on video because she was going crazy.
Yeah, that.
So don't act like you weren't there. We can because that was the biggest blessing, and being in Europe for like that month after the games was just really special to me because I don't know. It was like I felt like I had an opportunity to kind of like celebrate myself and regroup there and just kind of see a different part of the world, to just see the world, which was really cool. So I feel like the travel was also another blessing. And then I relocated back to Philly for training, which I went to school out here. So like that within itself has been, I didn't really know what to expect. I had an idea, but I figured it'd be different. But that has been such a blessing as well. And I also have been working on music this year, and I did have a goal to finish an album by the end of this year, but good and bad life changes and disruptions happened. So it's been delayed, but I feel like I've been praying over it, and I felt like God was like, we're still going to do it. It's just going to be, the songs are just going to be different than what you thought. Like, I'm going to give you the songs. These are the songs that you're going to write and sing. And yeah. And then, yeah. And like the mid song, like everything. I feel like he's got this plan. I love being used by him. So I am his servant. It's been fun. But now it's going to be a 2025 thing. Maybe. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. Could be different. He's got a very different timeline for me. So maybe for me to stuff.
No, I find it interesting because your journey, everyone's journey is very different, and it's their own journey. But what I found interesting about your journey is that I kind of sort of had the same journey the previous year as far as moving from coast to coast.
And so did Mariana too. That'd be the year before that. It was like we all learned from each other.
For that, exactly. And when we talk about Mariana or Mars, for the people listening, that's my youngest daughter. And yeah. And we love her so much, but and so I think that we all have an appreciation for what we've gone through, I guess, in the past 2 to 3 years, as move is concerned. Of course, when each of us have gone through it, it's been kind of difficult for us to understand.
It's hard for each person, yeah.
But once you get your feet wet, like the person before you, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So I think that was really good for you. I think for me, it was jaw dropping, but at the same time, what's interesting about a journey is that if you are going on a journey and if you think you're done with that journey, somehow, whether you believe in God or the universe or just how things work, you're always tested, because there's something that just happens where it's going to test you to see, did you really get through that journey? Did you really learn something from that journey? Because let me just see, and then they slap you with something new. And I think for me, for 2024, that was the biggest lesson, was like, oh, I'm not done learning, and I'm not done growing, and I'm not done feeling life in a way that's challenging. So now that I have all these resources over here that I've like, stored, what are you going to do with all that stuff now? And I think
Wow.
that was a huge lesson for me. Another thing I've been very thankful for this year is obviously making the Olympic team, me acting like a complete fool at USA's, and for Mariana finishing her, oh my gosh, 17 years of soccer, and
Yeah.
moving into graduating from a very prestigious school, and I believe she's going to become a media mogul, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, those are the three or four things I've been very grateful for this year, even though I may not have felt like I was grateful at the time. The journey continues. So you just have these ups and these downs and
Yeah.
this ebb and flow of everything.
I
But
mean, gratitude looks different in different seasons, right? Like when you're
y-
in a tougher season and you choose to be like, you know what? I'm thank you God for this, or I'm very lucky to have this, or I'm very blessed to have this thing. I feel like there's almost like that's a lot harder to do in a tougher season, but that's still
oh
gratitude. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And it's also those moments where you just have to like slow down and just like take a deep breath and go, okay, what's happening? And just be quiet. Like I think you being overseas, that amount of time that you were there for almost 2 months.
it
Like,
was really nice. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was like your quiet time. Sometimes you just have to be quiet to like not only let the change happen and let the things happen, but like I just felt like that was your quiet time, because there was really nowhere for you to go but to be by yourself and like move through that. And how did that feel?
It was it was just I feel like my whole European stint, I just felt like it was a refuge. I just felt very safe there, safe to kind of like feel whatever feelings I was feeling, and safe in my like to just talk to God and to sit with myself and to just regroup. I knew I was kind of like in between two places. I knew when I went back to the States, there was going to be a lot of change. So I was like, okay, right now, like I can just celebrate myself. And I felt like I was very like, there were times where it was just me. And then there were times where I felt like I was very blessed to have people. Like I like made a new friend, or, went to this one place, and then, you know, somebody came up to me and started speaking to me, and then we like ate together. I was just very blessed. I felt like the times that I needed to be alone, I was alone. And the times where I needed friends, like, or somebody there, like God sent somebody like immediately. So I always felt like I was covered. And yeah, it was just the timing itself. It's funny, when I was in it, like I recognized, I felt like I never knew how difficult of a time that maybe should have been, because I just felt so covered. So yeah, it was just like a time of peace and just kind of like regroup, I guess.
What I found interesting too about that trip, and tell me if I'm, pushing the buttons or whatever, but
No.
what I found interesting about that trip was that you had that moment, you had those moments, you had the quiet time, and your races weren't all that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, people think that a win has to happen
Yeah.
every single time, or you have to run a certain time every single time. And you just felt with peace with everything. Like, you know, change is coming. I can feel the storm coming. I'm going to take this moment and regroup and kind of like figure out what I want to do in this change. And I'm just gonna still like put my feet on the track and get this race over with, whether I win whether I win it or I don't win it. Like you just you didn't make that part of it a big deal, because I don't know, what were you thinking during that time?
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely challenging because I felt like a lot of people around me that I really respected were like you're really fit. Like this is gonna be like you can perform really well here. Like you can maybe break a record. You can maybe win this race. And I feel like only I kind of knew what I had just gotten out of and how hard that was. So I felt like, to me, just like if God was telling me I was going to race, just like racing, I felt like just doing what I was told to do and running the best I could, like, was the goal. And I did go into every race hopeful. Like, I did go into every race hopeful that I could win, and like, and with the expectation that I was still fit and stuff. But it just like in the race, it was very heartbreaking because each time it just didn't come together afterwards. I just had to like, I just had to sit with that. And it was kind of validating because I felt like, okay, like I made a lot of tough choices, but I feel like I felt happy. Like I felt at peace and I felt happy despite not racing well, which is what I kind of thought honestly was like the most important, or like I was sacrificing things in order to race well. And then now I was like, okay, there's this world where like I actually have peace and happiness. Now I just need to find the right support system where I can, like add to that and run well and stuff. But yeah, I felt like I also just had like, my agents were really supportive, and like you called me like every single day when I was there, every single day.
Yeah, pretty much. You did. You
It was
did. I felt
mainly
like the
for
days,
safety reasons, being a mom, but yeah. Yeah, I know. Like, well, I mean, you were there in Paris too and then after that, it was like you just called every day to just check in. And that was really nice too, just to have that like consistency of like, okay, like I'm just gonna check in at this time. Like, I just never felt like I honestly never felt like I was alone, which is pretty good. Yeah, yeah.
or I think for those who are listening, we are talking to someone who has gone to USA, has done amazing things, and who's an Olympian. But like, as everyday people, when we're going through change and you have that quiet time, what she's basically saying is that, when you're at peace and you're finding your own happiness and joy within your heart, it really doesn't matter what happens around you. Obviously, if you have goals and you want to meet those goals, but you're not always going to meet them. And sometimes just having that peace within yourself and that joy within yourself is enough to get through a day, or to get through a week, or to get through a month, or even to get through a situation or a challenge. And so I think that's really important to highlight that part, because we're all faced with different challenges, no matter what the level is throughout life. And we need to understand that if we can quiet ourselves a little bit and kind of like look at everything like a movie in a sense, and like I said, get quiet and be with yourself and find your happiness and joy. It really doesn't matter what's happening around you, as long as you're still moving forward and you still have those goals, and you do understand that sometimes those goals can't be met at that time, but they can be met eventually. You just have to, the process of it all, and I think, Nia, correct me if I'm wrong, I just feel like you're going through this very long process and you've accepted it, because now when we
Yeah.
talk, you're really excited about what's going to happen in the future.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like one of the things I honestly feel like at the time in Europe, it just felt like a long process, but it really wasn't. I felt like a lot of healing happened in a really short period of time. And then even coming back to Philly, and we kind of talked about it over Thanksgiving, how you're moving really quickly actually, and just kind of like getting with the new program and everything. And some of my new training partners said that like this weekend too. They're like, it's like, this is going really well. And I feel like I had to like take a step back and like, just because everything's so new, I didn't really process it, but like, I mean, I can't take credit for it. I feel like that was one thing that I felt like somebody like spoke over me, and I felt like that was God speaking through them, was like, what God's going to do is going to be like a quick work. Like what might normally take, a few years for somebody to get it together. Like we don't have that kind of time. Like this is going to be quick. So I just felt like I just had to bear with what he was doing and just accept the losses for what they were and just like sit with them. But like he comforted me and he gave me a lot of peace during that time. And yeah, now I still have it with me, and now it's just kind of this trajectory of, things are going really well. And I do hope it translates to the chat, obviously. But, as it doesn't, I do feel like it was worth it.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room. This has suddenly become something that well, I know why you did it. You know why you did it. So it's the lemon lemonade haircut. And
Oh, yeah.
there's so many layers to this because, for one, you're going through your own personal journey. Two, Black women, African American women, our hairs are crowned. And three, it's a completely different look than you've ever had since you were 2 years old.
Yeah.
So, if you don't mind, talk to us about that transition, that change.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, like, I've been wanting to buzz my head for a little while. And it's funny, like, the day before I did it, I was talking to some friends at brunch about it, like, kind of in length about, like, kind of wanting to do it. And they were talking about other people that I knew that had done it and just celebrities that had done it and it looked really good and stuff. And then the next day I woke up and I was reading some scripture about a prophet who had, God asked him to shave his head. And I was, I was like, why didn't I just what am I so scared of? Like, what I was thinking, maybe in the future when I'm more confident, like I'll do it or something like that. And I was like, why don't I do it today and just see if the confidence is there when it's gone? And yeah, I just kind of did it to it was something kind of like you said, like I have changed my hair a lot over the years, but this is very different than anything that I've done before. So it just felt like a really new thing. And I felt like everything just feels really new. So it just kind of felt like there's a lot of freedom in it. And you sent me a reel about who was it that did the same thing? They're like, everybody should do this shave like once in their life because it's so freeing. Like it's just your face. Like your face is just there. Yeah. But yeah, I just feel like I wake up in the morning, let me tell you, and I just walk out the door. Okay, on your bread. It's amazing. I'm gonna start swimming too because I started swimming last year, but I dyed my hair and I had the braids. And I was like, there's so many other forms of cross training. Like, why am I trying to swim? Like, my hair was honestly holding me back from swimming. And then now I'm like, I can get in the pool as many times a day as I want to. There's nothing to kill the chlorine. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
It's funny. I know that you think I had a reaction like when you first told me about it, but you'd send me a picture at first, and I knew the day before you had braids because I think you just ran at pins.
I did.
Yeah. And so I kind of glanced over the picture, and I just figured you had the braids here, and the head was shaved on the side, and I was like, okay, another look. It was only okay, another look, and then you sent me a text. I forgot what it said. And I'm like, let me look at this picture again, and then I was like, oh, you shaved your head, and.
Yeah.
And I still didn't I mean, I know that you think that I was reacting in a certain way, but it still was like, all right, she shaved her head, as long as she's happy.
No, it was good. I felt like I got a lot.
I just wanted you to be happy. I just wanted you to be happy. So if that's what you were doing, but I did have to ask you if you were okay. Like that, I think that's
I got a lot of that. I got a lot of, are you okay? Which I figured I was going to get because I feel like, yeah, there's just a lot of people just assume when somebody that has a nice head of hair just shaves it, but there's something wrong with them or that they've gone crazy or something. And that's not, I did it full sanity. But yeah, I did get a lot of Mars asked me the same question, but it was people that I care about. They're just like, oh, this is different. This is very different than anything that you've done before. But yeah, you guys were like, well, that's good.
I mean, I went to one
about our business.
Yeah, I went to one of your practice sessions, and I mean, 5 minutes or 2 minutes into it, I was like, "That's Nia." I mean, I was already used to it. So I mean, like I said,
it was a hard.
Runners are happy. Oh, you're beautiful. So it's not even.
Thanks, Mom. How are you?
Genetics. But I'm not going to be shaving my head. Not right now. So don't ask me. Next question. So one thing I do want to talk to you about, as you know, part of my wellness journey and my wellness hub is all about setting goals. And I really like the way that you set goals and how you prepared for things going into 2023 and 2024. And I know that probably setting goals for 2025 looks a lot different. Maybe even how you're setting goals probably looks different. But can you share a little bit of the process for this year? Because one thing that's intriguing to me when I've come to visit you on the West Coast, how you would have your Post-its and and everything's very organized, and then you would do the journaling. A lot of things that we have been doing over the years, but I think that you have found your own way of, setting your goals. Can you kind of like talk us through that process?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I used to like write after every single race and before, just kind of like how I was feeling and like what I wanted to do. And then in college, I did the same thing, mostly after races, just to kind of like not be too hard on myself. Cause I feel like my personality, I tend to be more hard on myself because I'm more of a perfectionist. And then when I, started running professionally, it was very different. I feel like every single day I was like, I had to set an intention for the day or set a goal for the day. So like in the morning, I would journal. I would journal and just kind of like write down what my goals were specifically for that day. And they were like just showing up was one of the goals that I would write down a lot, just show up or like be intentional. And then, there are little nuances, things like in the fall, like I feel like I'm more lax with food. So like in the winter, I start to be like, okay, like cut out this, like stop eating this, start eating like, so like those goals. But I would have, you know, I feel like the number one thing is like, what is my purpose? Like, who am I? What is my purpose? And then from there, I'll like build out my goal. And for me, like last year, my biggest goal was to, we'll talk about just track, was to make the Olympic team. So like the race that I needed to show up and be the best version of myself, the best athlete that I could be, was Olympic trials to make that team. So like working backwards from that, there were races that I ran fast that didn't feel really great, but like that wasn't the goal. Like that wasn't the race that I wanted to be the best at. So it's kind of like knowing knowing what your purpose is, but knowing what your purpose is teaches you what not to fight. If that makes sense. Like, or like when to show up,
Yeah.
the best at your A game. So I feel like that was kind of that was the goal of last year. I could have, rolled the die and tried to like win every race. Like in 2023, yeah, my goal was to win as many races as possible. And I did that. And like that happened to include nationals. And then towards the end of the season, I was just really tired, to be honest. So next year I was like, okay, how do I like, go into, post championship racing with something still left? And, obviously like life stuff happened, but I felt like I set up the year better for that than I did in 2023. And like now 2025, like I can take what I learned from both those years and kind of put it together for this upcoming World's year. So yeah.
I like that you have to find your purpose so you know what not to focus on. I think if
Yeah.
anything from what you just said, that was a very it was eye opener for me. If you find your purpose first, you know what not to focus on. And going back to the rise analogy, when you are recognizing who you are and what you want, it'll help you streamline your goals and keep all that other nonsense out of there. So I really like
Yeah.
that idea and that fact. So going into 2025, how do you think your goals are going to be different than 2024? Are they going to be like more intricate? Are they going to be more specific? Are they going to be, I mean, what do you think? And just not as an athlete, but as a young woman yourself, like what are your goals
Yeah.
going into 20?
I mean, we kind of talked about how like my priorities have been a little different. Like right now, I'm just kind of following like where do I get, where do I find joy? Like where do I find peace? And like we talked about it over Thanksgiving too. Like I want to have fun, like racing. So kind of picking races that I enjoy, that I like, and racing more. So I don't know. I enjoy racing, and I feel like I raced a lot in the past. So I think racing just like a little bit more would be, I think would be really good for me. But then, still maintaining the goal of making world scheme. So like the indoor and outdoor world scheme is kind of the big cookie item for this upcoming year. And then outside of that, I want to like really get better at playing the guitar and not be shy about playing it live and stuff. So I'm on the worship team at my church, and I've been recording songs for the album that I'm working on. I've been starting just me and guitar. Like I told myself, I was like, I'm not even gonna I'm gonna keep it very simple. Like start with the instrument that I learned first. I'm not gonna touch the keyboard. I'm not gonna touch the harp or anything. I'm just gonna like really fine tune my guitar skills and get as good as I can, and just be able to perform each song with the guitar and me, so I can just like do that anywhere at any time. So that's kind of the goal with music is, when I do release the album, if I'm somewhere and somebody's like, I want to hear this song, I can be like, well, whip out the guitar and like I can just do it. So yeah, that's kind of like running and music, and like spiritually, I just want to do whatever God tells me to do, which I feel like it's kind of, that's honestly the overarching goal with everything that I'm doing in life is like whatever He wants me to serve, whatever He wants me to sing or like not sing. If I make a mistake, to just like, which this is also a huge goal of me, is like, because I am very perfectionist about things. Because like if I make a mistake or if there's a life disruption or something, to just like have grace for myself, because it is easy for me. I'll be like, oh, they didn't mean that. Like, and for other people, I'm like, it's really easy when it's not you. And like for me, when somebody else does something, I'm like, oh, like, praise for them. Like I have grace for them, but for myself, I feel like I'm really hard on myself. So my goal for this year is to like actually recognize that I'm also grace, and when I do make mistakes, and just keep going. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's called self-care. And that's another form of self. I mean, it really is. It's just like, because it's so easy to pray for someone else. It's so easy to wish wellness on someone else. But when it comes to ourselves, we kind of forget.
It's not always easy, but
yeah, because you feel selfish. You're just like, oh, I shouldn't do this for myself. And you actually taught me this, when I'm doing things for other people, you're like, Mom, that's like charity. You need to like start doing things for yourself and making yourself accountable for the things that you're putting out there, and making sure that you're getting paid for, what you're worth and things like that. And so I think that that's just a different form of self-care. And, and as far as, the wellness hub that I have going on, I'm hoping to move all of my online stuff into in-person events so that I can touch and meet and help more people. And then, I don't know, like, you're on the verge of like continuing your running. I mean, you're on a completely different level than I am, but, running is, I don't even think about it like I used to anymore. Like I still like to go out there and do it, but my body's telling me that I need to slow down, because it's, like my knees are starting to hurt for the first time in 40 years. I think like my knees hurt, So I'm just trying to see what my wellness journey is.
My mom just whipped my butt in a DIT training class last week. That's why I rolled my eyes. She always says that. Oh my goodness. My mother is way more fit than she leads on, and is way faster than she's acting like she is.
Yeah, we were. I don't know what you're talking about. I just said my knees hurt. There's a tip for it.
Yeah. What were we doing? We were doing all kinds of, because it's, it's a HIIT workout. So there's all these,
F45. Yeah.
And she was doing like more push-ups than me, and more like rows in every. I was like, I need to get my act together. Yeah. There was some that I was like, okay, I got you on this, but
it's like stab.
There's only a few that I don't know about.
So we have to have a December challenge. You got to come back and we got to do it again and see where we're at.
Yeah. I'm glad that I wanted to film it because we were working out together, but I'm glad I didn't, because now I have the opportunity to do it for next time. So
now we can ask the trainer to film us. He would love to do that, I'm sure. So we'll see what happens with that. But so is there anything else you want to share with us? I mean, we're moving into 2025. Are you excited? Are you like nervous? I mean, for me, I'm a little excited, but I'm scared at the same time because of everything that's happening outside of my home and in the world. I'm got to pray for that situation. But like personally, how you feeling?
I'm excited. I'm ready to race. In fact, I kind of wish it would come sooner. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. We'll see, what happens. What happens, happen. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And everybody, please follow Nia Akins on Instagram, TikTok. She's got new music out there. She's playing the guitar live on Instagram and TikTok. And also, too, she's got some races coming up in January. Am I right? Yep, in January. And of course, you can follow me on therisershub.com. We have a new blog up, so please check out the new blog. I have my story up as well. So until next time, keep rising. All right.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Remember, this podcast is meant for both education and entertainment purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, so it's crucial to consult your physician, psychotherapist, or qualified health professionals for personalized advice. Until next time, take care. If you're enjoying this podcast, I would like to ask you to please subscribe, like, and share. That's what they told me to do at the end of this podcast. So could you hook me up? Thanks. Bye.